welcome. If this is your first wealth building class, welcome. I think all of y'all have been here before for various different classes. But today's class we're gonna talk about the element of water, right? And its implications within our financial systems. Now, word for confirmation, you can use this energy. Right now I'm gonna be talking about the economy as a whole, and I'm gonna simplify it down to, a pond and a lake. Because we're talking about water energy, but you can use the same financial game. You could use this within your own personal experience and finances, and I'm gonna explain how you can do that. Right? I want to do a wealth activity today. It's a new one. I'm gonna add this into the cycle. Right? Each week we do a new wealth activity, and then we cycle back and then check in on them. Right? This one I'm gonna add it into the cycle. Basically, we're going to be picking three investments. One investment for the year, one investment for the next 5 years, and one investment for the next 10 years, right? Usually we do like a week, a month, maybe a year, but when it comes to investments, these are long-term commitments, right? These are things that we plan to commit to right now and be consistent on so that one day it'll compound and bless us back, right? So we're going to do an investment activity today, and then we're going to get into the wealth ritual. If you were here last class, like I said, I taught you four different rituals that you could do. Do whichever one of those you want to. I don't want to make y'all keep doing the alchemization of the dollar, especially if it's not working for you. So a lot of people have messaged me and been like, oh yeah, this shit works. Some of y'all have not messaged me, so I don't know if it's working for you or not. But, you should be seeing some positive changes within your financial systems, especially if you are upholding that ritual. Like I said last time, in last class, the ritual does not stop once you finish the ceremony. If you're not putting in the energy throughout the week or throughout your month to uphold that ritual, even if you're not redoing the ceremony, if you're not upholding that energy, then the energy is going to fall through and your ritual is probably going to flop. And then, yeah, I don't want to hold y'all here for too long, but we do got a few things to cover today. So if that sounds good, put a star in the chat so I know we can get started. First and foremost, I'm going to draw a little diagram, right? It's going to represent the greater economy and your position in that economy and what you should be doing to better your position in the economy, right? Now, I want to talk about the four modes of water energy, right? Because like I said, these energies represent physical actions that we can take in the physical world, right? So first, I want to talk about, let me switch my, which pen I'm using. Oh, that's fine, actually. All right, first, I want to talk about the concept of current. Actually, I'll list them all out at the same time. Current, bank, stream, cloud, and ripple, right? Now, these are just personifications of things that we do in the physical world, right? They relate to this right here. This is the greater economy. This is our pool, right? Imagine this as a body of water. You have your little swirls and your little ripples rippling out and all of that. This is the greater economy, right? Now, ultimately, what we want to do is establish influence within this greater economy, right? This is us right here. This is us right here. This smaller circle, that is us. And all of our financial, all of our energetic, principles. That's what we are. Now, ultimately, our goal is to establish influence within the system. We want influence. Now, people often mistake. They don't know what they want from the system, so they don't get anything from the system. Truth be told, at the end of the day, all influence is one's ability to create change within the system. So, if I want to be able to do hella vacations and live my life however I want to, I need influence. I need to be able to maneuver the system to allow me to do that, right? If I want something to change within the world, I need influence. And the only way we can establish influence within the greater system is by establishing our current, right? All current is is how we project our energy, right? So if I'm sending my energy here, that's me building a current between me and whatever I'm sending my energy to. When it comes to current, right? This physically manifests as us giving our money to things. Sometimes it could be attention as well, but for the most part, I want to talk about money today, right? So this is your current. This is your body of water right here, and this is the current. Now, every time we send a current or we send energy through this current, right, you have a little ripple within the greater system. This ripple is how we control what happens within the system, right? So you see ripples over here, you see ripples right here, you see a small little swirl right here. All that is activity within the greater system. We want to be able to control this activity, right? So we need currents. But if you have a current, you're constantly releasing energy. You're constantly releasing energy. So now we have to have the concept of bank. How are we storing this energy that we're giving out? And how are we going to sustain the energy that's within that bank, right? When it comes to, terms like bank, these come from actual water terms. Like banks first started as things to hold in water. At one point, a bank with money in it did not exist. Like that was a foreign concept. But we took inspiration from water because water is how, like I told y'all in the elemental assets class, water is the exchange and the movement of energy within a system. That's all water energy represents. That's why today's class is about water. We're talking about how energy moves within the greater system, right? Now, if we want to make our current strong, we need to establish a strong bank, right? This looks like saving money. It could look like putting money away for another day. Having a strong bank is almost the foundation of your financial wellness. So I'm not going to say banks aren't that important, but there are other things to consider, right? I don't want you to get stuck on trying to save money, but I'm going to get to that later, right? But eventually, if we keep exporting energy from this bank, it's going to run dry, right? So we need to have a stream. Now, this is our stream. Anything that is coming towards our bank is a stream. Anything that leaves our bank is a current. If you understand that, put a water emoji in the chat. I'm going to keep bringing it back to this principle. The whole point of this is to create influence within the system. We want influence. We want to be able to make change. We want to be able to do what we want within the system. You need currents. People think that, people think that saving a bunch of money is how you get rich, and that's not true. Truth be told, spending your money is just as important as saving money, right? This is why the richest people in the world, their money is always active in the economy. Their money is never sitting in a bank. Their money is in some type of stock asset or some type of bond where it's going to be accumulating over time. And we're going to get into that concept later, right? But these are the three major concepts: current, bank, and stream, right? Now, truth be told, you don't just want one stream, right? Because you want to fill up your bank. If you're constantly receiving things from your stream and then putting it out in your current, you're just balancing out. You reach the middle line. You're never really changing. You're never really growing. We want to grow our bank ultimately. So what we're going to do is create multiple streams. I know everybody in here has heard the concept of multiple streams of income, right? Everybody in here should have heard that somewhere before. And that's not just something that people say. Like, you need to have multiple streams of income. If you don't have multiple streams of income, we're going to do a class dedicated to figuring out ways that we could increase our streams of income. Feel me? Right now I have like 3 and I'm unemployed right now. So it's like, if I'm unemployed and I have 3, you have no reason to not have at least 2. You feel me? Next, we're going to get into the concept of cloud, right? Now, all cloud is investments. You feel me? What does a cloud do in nature? All a cloud does, a cloud takes in moisture from the environment and it leaves. It goes away. It travels the world and picks up moisture from all over the world. And the next time that cloud comes back to you, it rains. It rains a bunch more than what evaporated the first time. If you understand that concept, put a water emoji in the chat. Put a cloud emoji in the chat. If you don't understand that concept, Said water cycle, exactly. And that's what this whole thing is called. On my notes, it's called the water energy cycle, because that's all this is. It's creating a water cycle. When it comes to our finances, we need to have a proper cycle. And when this cycle gets messed up, we get broke. You see me? So I'm gonna draw a little cloud, right? This is our cloud. Now, some of our energy is going to leave our bank. It's going to go into the cloud. And this cloud is going to travel all around. It's going to travel all around the economy. It's going to travel all across the world. We're going to keep putting energy into our cloud little by little every day. It only takes like 5 cents, $10 a day, $100 a week, whatever. Something that is manageable for you. But you need to be putting something away, right? Not into your bank, not into your savings, but you need to be putting something away that will compound in value later on, right? And that's what the cloud does. I could have a glass of water here. I could put it up to the sky in the sun. That water is going to evaporate. Only one glass of water. But when that cloud comes back, it's going to rain. It's going to rain gallons on top of me. You see? So a cloud is like investment, mutual fund. Exactly. Roth IRA, brokerage account, like anything that's going to compound in value later on, right? Even like crypto can be seen as a cloud, right? Next time this cloud comes back, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. And it's going to rain a whole lot back into my bank. A whole lot, right? That way, now look at my bank. My bank is overflowing. You got water pouring out. Once we have a big bank, the whole point is not to let the bank overflow. The whole point is not to let the bank overflow. It's not to get like $1 million in your bank account, although that can help. The whole point is to reinvest that money back into the greater economy, right? We want influence. You feel me? We want influence within the system. So we're going to create more currents. This is where people get messed up. They think that once you get the money, you're supposed to hold on to it. No. You're supposed to create more currents with you when you get money. You're supposed to spend more money, right? But you need to have a ratio. You need to have a ratio. Don't just be spending money that you don't have. But the whole point of spending money is so that we can have influence. When you give money to your average mom and pop, you're gaining your influence within the community. When you go to Macy's and buy something, like you're gaining your influence within the community. At the highest levels, this influence looks like buying or lobbying a politician or something to, pass a certain law. Things like that. Like spending your money gives you influence within society. It helps you live the type of life that you want to live. It can help you build greater communities, right? That's the whole point of why we're trying to get money in the first place, to build a community, truly. But after we create more currents, boom, our ripples get bigger. They get bigger. And then at a certain point, we can almost dictate everything that happens within the greater flow. You see me? And that's the whole point. We want influence. You feel me? Now, one of the biggest reasons why people fail to manifest is because having money alone cannot do anything for you. What you need to do is build proper systems that are going to help you receive, then give money. That's the whole point. I'm hammering that down. I'm beating that horse dead because I need y'all to understand that. When you make these investments, when you put money into an IRA or you put money into crypto stocks, whatever, the whole point is to grow that and let it be active within the community. Let it be active. Let it stay in the economy. To be honest, you're not supposed to take your money out of your investments. If I invested $100 or let's put a bigger number. Let's say I invested $1 million into, this is some financial game too. Hold on. If I invest $1 million into Apple today, right? If I need $1 million, I'm not going to go take out my $1 million that I invested into Apple. I'm going to go get a loan from the bank. And I can use that investment that I made into Apple as collateral. So instead of taking my money, that $1 million that I put into Apple to get $1 million, all I have to do is go to the bank and be like, yeah, I have $1 million worth of Apple. And they will give me $1 million. Dead ass. They'll give me $1 million. All I got to do is make sure I pay it back. And that's the whole point of making investments. So that we can have monetary wealth for the future, right? Even if it's like when we get into the investments portion, we're gonna talk about how money is not the only thing you can invest. You can invest your time, you can invest your presence, you can invest all type of things. But the most common thing to invest in the physical world is money, right? And we don't even have to take our money out of our investments. All we got to do is go get a loan and use our investments as collateral. If you understand that, put an envelope emoji in the chat. An envelope. That one's kind of new. So we use the money as like proof that we could pay it back. Then we use it to reinvest and get more money. So the whole point of making investments is so that we can use them as collateral to receive more money. This is how, Jeff Bezos and all these super rich people, Bill Gates, this is how they operate. They keep all of their money. They don't even spend their money. They spend loan money. They get loans. The richest people in the world are getting loans, because why would you spend your money when you could spend somebody else's money? You see me? And still keep your investments secure. That's the whole point of making investments, is so that we can use them as collateral, right? It's not even a monetary thing as well. If I invested my energy, let's say I invested my energy into a business, right? Let's say you, GM, let's say you were a business owner and I worked for you, and I invested all of my time to work for you. And, we weren't getting paid. We were still building it from the ground up, and we weren't getting paid. I invested my time into you. At some point, when we do start getting paid, I can request compensation based off my investment. You see me? And I'll have leverage because I did that initial investment. At that point, I'm an asset to you. So a lot of money out there, not even paper dollars, it's all potential money. Boom. Boom. You are spitting. I don't know if you knew that or if you were asking the question, but I will confirm. That is exactly what's going on. Every time you deposit $100 into the bank account, they're taking that $100 and they're loaning it out. They're not even putting that money into the bank account. Every time the bank loans money that you deposited, they're creating artificial money. They're creating artificial money, because when you go back to take out that $100, they have to credit you $100. That $100 that you receive once you get your money out of the bank is not the same $100 that you put in. It used to be back in the day, but things have changed. We're digital now. Even before we were digital, they would still loan out like 90% of your money and only keep 10%, because not everybody's going to request their money at the same time. But if everybody today requested all of their money from their bank accounts, everybody went to the ATM and drained all of their money, the financial system would collapse. We almost seen something similar to that in 2008, but it wasn't the full thing. Said, yeah, you were onto something there, much more than you know, probably. What X is saying is true. That money probably never existed. Is that why the banking crash happened? Exactly. In 2008, that's something similar happened. I'm not going to say that's exactly what happened, but that's basically what happened. That's a fractional reserve lending. Exactly. Fractional reserve banking. I'm trying not to use all the technical words, but that's exactly what it is. Fractional reserve banking. It was created around like 1600. Sorry if y'all heard my dog barking, but it was created around 1600 by different merchant classes, and they would give money to kings. This is how money became the ruler of the world, y'all. I'm gonna give y'all a little history lesson real quick. These rich bankers, they would give money to kings, and they built trust with the kings. Then the kings would deposit their money into the merchant banks, right? And when the kings deposited their money, the banks would loan it out to a bunch of other people. So they would create more money. They would create artificial money and put it out into the system. And then when that king requested their money back from the bank, they were able to give it to him because they were also getting money from a bunch of other kings. But it failed back then because all of the kings started going to war and everybody was requesting their money at the same time. When everybody requests their money from the system at the same time, the system collapsed. And that was back in the day. The system is a lot more complex than it used to be. But that's fractional reserve banking. If y'all understand this concept, put a dollar bill in the chat. But this is the foundation of water energy. This is how finances and energy moves within our greater financial system. Everything circulates, right? You see how I have all the arrows going around. This is circulation. This is currency. When you have a current, you're creating currency. Everything is moving in a motion. And the whole point of having currency in the first place is to dictate the motion of currency. We don't just spend money to spend money. We don't just spend money so that we can have nice things. We don't just spend money to survive. We spend money so that we can have influence. Birth for confirmation. We spend money to have influence. And once people realize that spending money gives you influence, once people start moving with that mentality, they will stop being broke. We have too many people being broke because they feel like being or spending money is a survival trait. We feel like, we have to spend our money once we get it. And that's, even though that's somewhat true, there is power in that. Like when you're spending your money, you're creating value, you're creating influence. People need your money. You see me? This is why our money is supposed to be in a constant circulation and not stuck in the bank. When our money is stuck in the bank, it's not doing anything. Matter of fact, it's losing its value because of inflation. Maneuvering your money gives you influence within the system. A lot of people don't see it that way because they're trapped under a bunch of debt, or they're stuck in a survival mode where they have to constantly give away their money that they're receiving. Wow, that was good, bro. I said, gotcha. It makes sense why they depict it as that in films. Exactly. Exactly. Um, but that was a lecture, y'all. We're gonna move on to the wealth activity.